All right, everybody, here we go. No introduction, but you gonna get right into it. You gonna die for it, huh?
Yeah, I died for this shit too.
Hey, it got serious this episode, man.
Yeah.
It's a serious episode.
Serious topics.
Hey, yeah. It got heated.
Serious topics.
Yeah, well, because y'all
episode 10.
Hey,
tripping.
I seen Shawn Porter mad.
Yeah.
tripping.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But we got.
He still smiles when he's mad.
Is that weird?
Yeah, for sure.
That's me. Listen, we got Shawn Porter here with the fight hype, and we're gonna get into some things that I think you got some good insight on. We're gonna talk about the messenger, the interview that you had with Bob Arum, basically alluding to the fact that he's in the red with Terence Crawford, and I felt like that's news that shouldn't be put out. And then we're talking again about him being able to make fights happen with the likes of Errol Spence Jr. and Manny Pacquiao. Do you think this is something that Bob is prepared to do for Terence? First of all, with the understanding that those are fights that he could lose. I think that Bob has always put Terence Crawford in advantageous situations where he would always come out on top. And now you got to wonder why, if your guy's in the red and these are off because you promoted him against guys that you wanted him in the ring with, not necessarily who anybody in the fight world would have wanted to see, or
Shawn, or the guys that were available.
Yeah.
or the guys
Nobody
who
was,
were
the
available.
circumstance.
nobody was clamoring for the Mean Machine or Jose
But
Benavidez
these,
fight.
I think given the same position, Bob would be doing the same thing. But that's the only opponents he has available for Terence. And so, being that Bob's in the position he's in, it's incredibly frustrating.
The
and,
well is one dry.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
But it ran dry some fights ago. Is Bob in denial?
Right.
It
Since
was,
Postal, really.
I was going to say, it's been dry for ever.
Okay, at this point, who the hell does he fight on that side now?
There really is no one.
No.
He has to wait at least a year until Ramirez and Taylor finish up, and I think they'd rather match Teofimo with the winner of that fight than Terence Crawford.
Terence did mention after the fight he wanted to rematch somebody that he felt like he didn't
He did?
perform well. It was something weird.
No one's gotten close enough to warrant a rematch.
That's what we thought.
Yeah.
But
That,
look back into it.
Yeah, my issue is for Bob Arum to, whether it was in that interview, he also had an interview in the Athletic. I think it was Lance Pugmire, but that he was like, the question isn't if he'll resign. It's the question is, do we want him to resign? I'm like,
whoa,
are you out of your mind? Like,
that's crazy.
It's one of those things where I feel like you've done something, you've put yourself in a bad situation, and then you're complaining about your bad situation. Like, yeah, this is terrible. I didn't make any money on these fights. Who made the fight?
Yeah.
Who can't do business with PBC is you.
Yeah.
It's not anybody else. It's not like it's almost like a martyr. Like, oh, I lost this money. How can I deal with this? It's because of you that you lost money on these fights. And Bud, all he's done is do what he had to do
And win.
Went in the ring, knocked people out.
Yeah.
Although, to be a star, it isn't. He does the most important thing, and the thing that if you love boxing, you really care about is he hit the fights.
Yeah.
They deliver. But and I asked Terence this after the fight. In order to get Roy Jones, Antonio Tarver had to crash his press conference and press him. In order for Floyd Mayweather to get De La Hoya, every single in-ring interview after a fight in HBO, I want Oscar De La Hoya, I want Acosta Zoo, I'll beat any of their ass. All of them. 135, 154, over and over again. Like it's a propaganda machine.
Shannon Briggs.
Yeah.
Let's go, champ. Let's
Right.
go, champ.
Right. Lara, Arislandi Lara, who with the terrible style and doesn't draw tickets, probably had no business somehow getting Canelo from a risk reward, but he called him out. Fighters have pride, and if you call that man out for a fight to his face in front of the whole world,
Clubber Lang style.
exactly,
Clubber Lang and Rocky.
that never hurts.
Yeah.
But the thing is with Terence is he's not. He does. I think he doesn't. He from his perspective, he's not going to compromise himself. I'm not going to. Oh, that's what y'all want me to do. That makes me not want to do it even more.
That's it.
And
He's hard-headed in the good way. Like he's not gonna put on a show when it's not him.
He ain't gonna Randy Savage their ass like Shawn Porter. He got the fight, ain't got the
right.
Ain't got the
Well,
win.
Shawn's an extrovert, and Terence is more of an introvert.
Yeah.
Don't get me. He's sharp and he's funny. If you get a chance to talk with, he's very smart.
Yeah.
But Yeah, but it might not be to his benefit. It makes him more endearing if you're a fan. You respect the man for being who he is, but I think it could do nothing but help if he were to maybe even go to the fight in Texas and go to the conference.
Just put your face out there.
Let me ask you this, and I'll ask you and both of you for that. So even if we want to just say Bud versus PBC fighter A, whoever it is, Pacquiao, Shawn Porter, Errol Spence, whoever it is that on Bud to make that fight, or is that on Bob Arum to make that fight?
I think both. You know,
what percentage do you think? Because for me,
a good question.
It's like 80% Bob Arum. You're the one that's making these fights.
Did Bob Arum get Floyd Mayweather De La Hoya? You know, it was like, I mean, well, that speaks to your point. Like, Bob failed him there too. But
so I
got two little kids.
Yeah.
One cries because he's 4 months, and we know what he needs, what he wants when he cries.
Yeah.
We get it to him, or he's going to keep crying.
Yeah.
Diggy is going to put up a fuss, and she's going to do whatever he needs her to do at that point in time in order to calm him down.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Terence Crawford is Bob Arum's child. However, if Terence is willing to say, Bob, this is what I want, this is what I needed, this is the next fight for me, there's nothing else for me in 21, Bob is by right is legally obligated to do everything he can do to make it happen. My question is, do you think Bob is getting in his own way? Do you think the pride of the old head is getting in his own way of being able to make that business decision to make the money that he wants to make off of Terence, with Terence, for Terence?
First of all, I do think Terence will win the fight. I don't think I don't think he doubts his guy against anybody at PBC.
Yeah.
But is he getting in his own? Yeah, he is. He is, in his mind, he's campaigning to the public. You know, look at all this BS. This is a sport. It's supposed to be number one versus number two. They want to make it about all this other stuff, stuff that Bob would do if he was in the same shoes.
It's smoke and mirrors. It's like he's
right, but
putting it off on everything else
in hopes that the public outcry helps make the fight happen. But he's probably just pissing off the people who have all the leverage, who he really kind of has to come hat in hand and say,
So you mentioned that he kind of needs to be like in his face. He needs to talk some trash, whatever it is.
Whatever it gets to make the public talking.
Yeah. So there's the notorious video of those two. I don't know what fight they were even at with Bud.
Maurice Hooker and Ramirez, I think it might have been.
So like they're face to face, and Bob Arum is there.
Oh yeah, he's just sitting there watching.
And they're like, Bob, can we make the fight? And he's just like, well, and he doesn't at that point. Say, hell yeah, we could make the fight. Absolutely.
I think Bob is at the point where
because they're both talking trash. Like at that point, and they're like, hey, can we make the fight? Hell yes. We can make this fight no matter what it takes. We'll make it happen. But he was like,
well, Bob, one quote I should have made him clarify more is he even said, technically, if they want to do the fight over there and take care of the fees and all that, then we could even do that. But he's not going to want to do that because He's going to want to share in the profits and all that. He's going to want to share in the expenses of doing this fight. And I'm just thinking, a
lot of it. I feel like if you have,
they can make Errol versus Keith, Errol versus Shawn too, and make money.
If you're Bob Arum and you have 17 different excuses or reasons, or we could do this, just do it. Just make the fight. Like if there's all these different things that, we could do this, or if that happened, this might happen.
He can't make the fight, I think, though.
You don't think so?
No,
I think if Bob Arum wants to, he can make that fight.
Really?
I don't think he has a lot of leverage. PBC has too much on their side.
Yeah, they tell him
it's too much.
So you don't.
We don't have.
We'll get to you when we want to get to you.
Yeah. They don't need him.
Yeah,
they don't need him at all.
You focus on from their side. You focus on building your name, figuring out how to get a big fight, and we got all these big fights we're gonna play. And if you're still here, we're gonna get to you.
Boxing needs to fight.
But I also think. I don't think it.
I agree. I want to see it more than anything.
No, boxing needs to fight.
Not for us.
Boxing needs to fight.
The casuals.
Yeah.
Boxing needs those fights.
So who beyond? So let's go from the. So we've talked about Bud. I have no clue. If he doesn't fight a PBC guy, I have zero clue
who does he fight,
I have no idea.
But Patrick Teixeira at 154.
Somebody said going 154.
But so then if you go to Errol.
Regis, I don't know.
Yeah, or those guys,
Everybody
there's
at
some
this point
fights, but
is-
again, like so after Errol fights Danny, we'll assume he wins. You fought Shawn Porter, you fought Danny Garcia.
Yeah.
You have no interest in fighting Keith Thurman.
Right.
Errol's like, bump that. I have
Right.
no interest in fighting him.
Right.
Pacquiao, that's it.
Yeah,
Who
everybody's
else?
done it for Pacquiao.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if everyone wants, he can only fight, and he's like,
He can only
and
fight
he's
one of us.
57 years old now.
Yeah.
So it's like,
yeah.
it's just one of those where I'm like, if it were before you had fought Errol and before Danny had fought Errol, and you're like, oh, I don't think why rush? You have multiple fights you can make.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's a rematch against you or a rematch against Danny, like Pacquiao. But outside of that, I just don't see. I don't see a ton of options.
After those guys fight, let's say hypothetically, Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford fight in 2021. One guy loses. It is what it is.
Yeah.
There's no draw. One guy loses. Does that? But it's a great fight. Does that discredit the other guy from moving forward and fighting another big fight? Like, let's say
Take you for perhaps. That happened to you.
Yeah.
You lost, but it was a great fight.
But I think that everybody is saying Shawn Porter's where he's at now. We know he's great. We know he's going to put on a great show. But I think people, for some reason, are hanging on to these records. And I think I don't know what it is. If they feel that people can just flip on the TV and not know who it is, but because they see O's,
they assume
they assume that it's a great fight.
Sean always say
Like
the Floyd Mayweather effect.
Uh-huh.
That he was a blessing and also a negative to boxing.
But it's got to go away.
I know
it has to go away.
It's going to take some time
because you got Lomachenko out there now with one loss, but he's out of.
Two, yeah.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, because he lost.
People kill us about that.
Yeah. Out of the pound for pound top 10, out of the pound for pound top 5. Okay, well he's out of the pound for pound top 5.
Yeah.
Based off of one big loss.
Big loss. Yeah.
And now it's almost like he's got a mark on him, you know. So what the question I have is, do you immediately put a mark on one of these guys? Obviously, we don't know how the fight's going to play out at all.
I don't. Hell no.
You know, but do you put a mark on one of the guys because he's got a loss, or do you say, you know, hey, you're still a great fighter, you still got a great legacy.
Absolutely.
Let's see you against Shawn Porter. Let's still see you against Manny Pacquiao. Let's still see if Keith Thurman can get back into the mix.
Absolutely.
You know?
Still make some hell of a fights.
I even think that this is my thing with this fight with Danny Garcia and Errol Spence Jr. I think it's a great fight. I think it's going to go some great rounds. I think we're going to get some great action.
Yeah.
I don't know if Danny Garcia is going to win the fight.
Yeah.
Hypothetically, he loses the fight. I think depending on how he loses the fight, I don't think his stock should go down very much because he's a great fighter and he can still contend. I think obviously the fight needs to play out and we need to see it play out. Let's say he fights great.
Yeah.
Let's say it's a Shawn Porter, Errol Spence type of fight.
Yeah.
And he doesn't get his hand
still in
raised.
the mix.
He should still be in the mix.
Absolutely.
That gets in the way of boxing, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
Do you think so?
Of course. Oh, of course. No, I mean, when I was coming up, the best pound for pound fighters all had a loss, whether it was Barrera or Oscar or Shane or Trinidad or any of these guys, and it was
one Floyd got that. Oh, he just would not let it go. It was just like his thing,
and that was kind of a mantra for Keith Thurman. He kept saying, "I have the O, and I'm not afraid to let it go," and he didn't. And he ends up losing. Keith Thurman's a bit of a different example because he's been inactive and he's kind of characters, has 78 shoulder injuries and elbow injuries. But I don't like if Errol Spence loses to Terence Crawford. I'm not like, Errol Spence, he's
trash.
It's how good you look in defeat. It was what you do after.
I even think if it's a lopsided fight, like even if somehow Bud stops Errol or Errol stops Bud in the second round, I still don't think it's like crazy. I still not like. They're done. They're garbage.
That's the part of boxing that people don't understand.
Yeah,
it's almost like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just got mollywopped last weekend against the Saints.
Yeah,
it was that game. It was that night.
Yeah,
we're expecting them to come back
for sure
and be who we know Tom Brady to be and the leader he is. And they come back this week and they look very good this week.
Yeah,
but people don't give the same opportunities and chances for boxing. And I think, again, playing devil's advocate, depending on how you lose and how bad it is.
Yep.
Second round knockout, how bad was that knockout? Are you really going to recover and be who you've been before? And was it really like Lubin? That just was the craziest thing.
Yeah.
But is he going to be able to come back and be that Lubin that we expected him to be?
Hey, Shawn, you perfect example. Your first loss, man. You honestly have to build it back up a little bit. Now those losses since it hasn't been such a back fall, but the first one you have to build back up.
Well, that was not a good Shawn Porter.
Yeah.
Right. So
even
it's how you look
even
at
for
defeat.
TV,
Right.
Yeah.
and for the business at that point in time, and the other fights that I've lost, they've been good TV fights. They've been good for the arena, and and it's been entertaining. So I think that should be it. Boxing should get back to entertaining, and being less about business.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I don't know any of them personally enough to say this with full confidence, but I don't believe Terence Crawford has any issue or Errol Spence has an issue with putting their undefeated record on the line.
I don't think so. I think at this point, and I think especially after Errol Spence has his fight against Danny Garcia, that goes the way he wants it to go. I think he's going to be right back where he was after defeating me. And I know that Terence Crawford is like, hey, it's go time when it's go time.
Yeah.
I got one more question for you, and then we'll wrap it up.
I do want to say that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Two wrongs. Literally every great fighter outside of Floyd Mayweather. I mean, you could say Rocky Marciano, Joe Calzaghe has lost.
It's not an excuse.
It's lost.
I think people kind of look at that like because Floyd Mayweather was able to do it. I think people look at it like it's an excuse. Like, so what? Floyd's undefeated,
right?
So, but go ahead.
Oh, and also just two wrongs don't make a right. I don't like it when top rank right now is and I understand Devin isn't as accomplished as Bud, but they're freezing him out of a fight with Teofimo. Like, they're saying 0 chance, despite him, and now PBC doing it with Terence, and I just don't think, even though I know damn well Bob would do the exact same thing, maybe even worse than what. If it was right.
Yeah.
2 wrongs don't make a right. And that's it. You still want to see number 1 versus number 2.
So let's go from your perspective, because that's obviously what people are going to be interested in.
Okay, let's do it.
So Bud Crawford gets the win over Kell Brook.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something, or is Shawn Porter in play at all for Terence Crawford's next fight? Are you out of play for Terence Crawford ever?
No. Oh, hell no.
Okay.
No.
Right.
I honestly have not decided what angle I'm going to take yet.
Hopefully it's not another Macho Man video, because that was terrible.
Well,
it got the job done. You got the fight.
It wasn't terrible.
It was bad. It was no good.
It wasn't the greatest, but I wasn't mad at you.
Didn't LL Cool J respond?
You look like Charlie Wilson in the
commenting
Gap
on that
Man
video.
more than you look like Macho Man.
Commented on mine too.
I'm a black man.
I got to work there today, and people said, "What the hell is your boy doing?" I said, "What are you talking about?"
I saw that pop
Oh
up.
damn!
What'd you say? He's like, oh,
Hey,
damn.
I tried to take up for you.
I don't know who this is.
I was like, "Oh damn!"
No, I'm friends with Don Porter.
Well,
His cousin.
at the end of the day, I am who I am.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So-
with that being
yeah.
said, I don't
Yeah.
know what angle I'm going to take yet with Terence. The most communication I've had with him was about the show at this point. I haven't had communication with him as far as fighting him.
Do a contract signing on the show, WWF Raw style.
I would love
We're
to
having
fight
Terence on to sign the contract.
I would love to fight Terence.
Yeah.
I think that we're talking about all of it. The styles, we're talking about matching him, speed for speed, quickness for quickness, athleticism, agility, the whole 9. And then we're even talking about, even from a business perspective, I think I could sell the fight.
Yeah.
I think that this would be a fight people would be interested in. I think that right now I have a show on. It's going to be going on NBC soon.
Yeah.
I got the podcast obviously, and I got Fox going on. I think a lot of people know me now.
Yeah.
Both in and out of the ring, and I think that I can make the fight happen. My whole thing when I spoke to Terence prior to this fight being announced, and it was prior to my fight being announced with Sebastian Formella, our order is and will always be, hey, are we going to do this? Is it time?
Yeah.
This time it was me asking him, and he said that he had some big things that he was working on. I really don't think the big things he was working on came to
Pacquiao.
Yeah, it was Pacquiao, because Bob Arum alluded to that.
But me being who I am, I took a step back.
Yeah.
Right now, I don't know what my play is going to be yet.
Yeah.
Being a WBO mandatory, I mean, I'm gonna keep it real. Like I forgot about that.
You're WBC mandatory.
So that now things
you're
are
all the mandatory.
Yeah,
IBF too, right?
Yeah.
Do you do?
So my whole thing was I know I'm
They love
mandatory
you.
for the IBF and WBC, but my thing with the I didn't not care.
Yeah.
But I was looking at the fight with Terence, and then again when I know what's going on, when I see I don't see Tim say my name, I don't see Andre say my name, I don't see Joe say my name, Bernardo, Mark, any of those guys say my name, I understand what's going on.
Yeah.
And so my thing is, okay, they don't want this fight to happen. They want something that they consider to be bigger to happen. If I go up tonight and I wake up in the morning and I feel like this is bigger than that, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, you know. So it remains to be seen. I don't know for myself. However, just to answer the question, that fight's alive until I'm done with this sport.
Okay.
That fight's alive when I'm done with this sport, the same way my fight with Errol Spence Jr. was alive. Don't think I've ever told anyone this, but when I was out there at Sheffield and he beat Kell Brook, I stood up and I put my hands in my pocket. And I was like, all right, whenever it happens, it happens. At that point in time, I knew that eventually he and I were going to fight. The same thing happened when Terence Crawford beat Jose Benavidez. Before that, we're friends, and I never saw myself fighting him.
Yeah.
When he beat Jose Benavidez, especially the way he beat him, I was sitting there, and I was like, damn, I might have to fight this dude.
Yeah.
And I started smiling. I'm like, because I knew he was good, but that fight right there for me, I was like, I think I want some of that, you know? So the fight is definitely alive for me. Obviously, we got some things to fight through. The respect that I have for my guy, but also depending on what Bob wants to do.
But it's interesting what you're saying, Shawn, because the thought for most people would be because PBC has all the options, that it'd be that side that isn't keen on making Porter Crawford because you got options. But it sounds like, I'm not putting words in your mouth, but it sounds like it's hesitancy from Top Rank that wouldn't want to make Crawford and Porter.
Yeah. I really do think that all of the hesitation is.
But that's surprising because they're in need of a marquee opponent. So you would think logically that they would love to make Crawford.
They're looking
enemy.
for a marquee opponent.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if
they're
he gonna
looking
do
for
business
Arrow
with
and Pacquiao.
PVC, he wants to make money.
Well, if he thinks it's
They ain't enemies.
Nah, they're not enemies.
if he
I
thinks,
don't know.
But if Bob thinks he wins that fight, which I think he does think his guy would win the fight, then why not make that fight as a segue into bigger business?
Yeah.
Well, nobody leaves the ring the same when they fight me.
Right.
And I say that respectfully and, humbly.
Yeah.
But I am different, and even if he's able to get out of the ring and maintain that WBO title, I think everyone's seen enough of me, enough to know that it's gonna be a long night and something might change in my fighter after having this fight.
I love that, but I don't like it at the same time because it's almost you accepting I'm gonna put him through hell, but still come up just a little short.
No.
Worst case scenario.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like playing the
saying
devil's
if
advocate,
nothing
but
else.
I was
If
speaking
nothing
as
else.
if Bob Arum that like those would be his thoughts. I'm
Right.
sure his thoughts are. Shawn Porter's it's a great fight. It's an entertaining fight. The styles would make sense and all that, but at the end of the day, my fighter might just be banged up for more weeks than he's used to being banged up,
Yeah.
you know,
And
or he might
also-
go through something in the ring that he's never been through before, and it's almost like, you know what I mean, like having somebody shoot at you. It's
And
like
there's also-
after surviving that, it's like you every time you walk outside, you like, what's going on? You don't like my analogies today?
You heard him?
It's
Hey,
like,
hey,
it's like surviving
What
gunshots
the
when
hell
you get
did
in the
he
ring
go
with
with
Shawn
that?
Porter. Okay.
I started to think of a question, then all of a sudden he's like, "Yeah, it's like getting shot when you're." I'm like,
This is the most I ever heard you pop off.
Let me say
Oh, yeah,
this.
he hot today.
Yeah,
He
it's
hot today.
spicy,
When
yeah.
I say that nobody leaves the ring the same,
Yeah.
you're not the same after you get shot.
Pound of flesh. You take your pound of flesh.
I'm just saying. I'm not saying, you know what I mean, but I'm just saying.
And this also may
Know what I mean?
be- this whole conversation may be completely null and void by
I know.
not by anything with you.
No, and
by
like in
next,
general.
By next year he could be out of his contract with Top Rank.
Oh, which
he could
leads
be
me
with
to
PBC anyway.
That was
so-
going to be my final question.
Yeah.
My final question. We'll end right here.
Yeah.
And maybe you all can chime in, but do
Okay.
you think Terence Crawford is being too loyal to Bob Arum and Top Rank?
If he can get the fights that he wants and more money crossing the street and there's an opportunity to, then he should. And I say that with no horse in the race If the fight can be made at Top Rank, I want to see the fight on Top Rank. If the fight could be made on PBC, I want to see the fight made on PBC. But I want to see it before 2021 is finished because Terence is 33.
Yeah.
And how much longer can he be this great fighter he is? And I want to see him get this shot at the peak of his powers.
You know how they say 30 is the new 20? I am starting to feel and recognize that fighters are in their prime well past 30. I am starting to feel that, and
Shawn,
beyond just me.
We're in our 30s, so we say shit like that.
But
just be honest.
I know I'm about to be 30, so I'm like,
Yeah,
all I'm saying is-
29 too.
all I'm saying is if you take a
20
look
all
at
day.
what boxing has told you, boxing tells you that once a guy turns 30,
Yeah.
he's in his prime, but then once he gets past 30 to 32, he starts to decline.
Yeah.
That's what boxing has told us. But if you take a little looks at Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, and I'm sure I could
Bernard.
toss out a lot of other names. Bernard Hopkins, someone who just took really good care of their body and understood what they were in.
he was better at 36 than he was at 26.
Yeah.
Very rare.
I
Lennox
can tell
Lewis,
you-
too.
I can tell you one thing that definitely changes as you get older is your respect for the game and your commitment to the game. And I think that maybe that's what makes it seem as if once you get past 30, you may be out of your prime, because a lot of us start to do other things with our lives and things like that. And our commitment isn't the same to the sport, isn't the same to the training and things like that. However, I want to go on record for saying, and I like to do some research on this and everything, but I really do think that guys are in their prime more like 33 to 35. I really do believe in that. Thank you for coming up today.
Yeah.
You're the best.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it, man.
We appreciate
missed
you.
Missed y'all, man. I'm back home finally
he's been
after
on the
3
road,
weeks,
man.
Yeah.
man.
How was everything?
It was great. I'm just happy to be covering the sport, and I hope everyone enjoys what I do when it goes up.
Absolutely. We
Yeah,
thank
no,
you
no,
always.
Fighthype.com.
Yeah.
Check it out.
So
Yeah.
when you got
Real
home,
name, no gimmicks.
Yeah.
How was it when you got
Yeah.
home? How was it when you got home to your wife and kids?
Oh, great.
Yeah.
I was so worried that my son would forget me because he's so little. It's been 2 whole weeks.
Yeah.
But I prayed every night that
Yeah.
we'd be even closer somehow.
Yeah.
And he gave me the most love by far when I came home. And so we got twice as close being far away and coming home than I did being home every day.
Yeah.
So.
Just a little
It's a blessing,
advice.
man.
Yeah, it is.
Continue to do what you do with your son. He's gonna remember it all. Right now is where they are sponges, and I've learned that literally from watching both my boys. Now I came in today, and my son now sits on his stomach. He looks at me and he starts smiling immediately. He's only 4 months, so they remember everything. And as long as you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and providing, he's gonna sense who you are and what you're doing for him, and he's gonna cling on to you, man. I went through a phase where my son was just all over his mom all the time.
Same.
Now, and it's gonna happen for you if you keep doing the same things and doing the right things. My son, I don't go outside without him. He just runs behind me. All I'm doing is taking out the trash. I say, hey, you want to go for a ride? That's our thing. We go for a ride every morning. He wears the seatbelt. He wears the seatbelt now. We got a car wash right around the corner. We go through the car wash. I put him in the front seat. Do fun things like that, and you won't ever have anything to worry about.
This was
Hey, you a real dad.
This was a wild.
Hey, you a real
This
dad.
was a wild ass emotional.
Hey,
ending
yeah,
to this
yeah,
video.
hey, man,
It turned into step by step.
This guy.
And you got, I know Carson, do you have kids yet?
No,
And-
My dad never took me
and-
through the car wash.
And you got kids?
sorry.
No, I ain't got nothing yet.
You see, that's why we're just like-
my dad used to take me to
Like,
libraries.
it's regular.
And parks were his thing.
Nah, I ain't going to the library.
That was always like
Going to the
libraries and
library.
parks. Those were his things.
We
but-
speed past the
But
library.
I just like all of a sudden we're like, yeah, it's Terence. And he's like,
Yeah.
as a father, if you read,
gotta
See, when it was
one
me,
fish,
it's
two
like,
fish.
it's
And I
like
was-
you survived gunshots.
Yeah,
Aunt,
but-
Aunt and I are sitting there like,
But
I'll be damn, man, boxer, huh?
Damn,
Boxing's pretty cool.
I'm about to give me a kid.
like I'm talking, like I'm talking to you, but I'm trying to push these guys to do the right thing,
You already
so
know.
they
There
can
was
end up
there
on the
was like
football
one- there
field
was
with my
like one
sons at
tier-
the same
there was
time.
one-
you know my
Right.
situation.
Yeah, there was one tear rolling down my cheek as you guys started.
Yeah, I was like,
Oh, man,
damn.
thank you.
Yeah, man. So, but honestly, man, we always appreciate you. You do a lot for us.
absolutely.
People don't even know it. Sean Zattel, fighthype.com.
Yep.
look out for him. Y'all been looking out for him. Just continue to do what you're doing, man.
Thanks,
You're the
Shawn.
best. Yeah.
Hey, and another thing, let's shout out like Ryan, DD8 behind the scenes, man. They actually do
Albert.
a lot. They
Shout
do a
out
lot
Albert.
for us, man. Albert, my bad.
Making it happen with
Yeah,
that.
they do a lot for us, man. They actually
Shout
they
to
make all
everybody.
this stuff work, man.
Yeah.
So
This is the part that I love to do.
this is easy.
Yeah.
They do the hard part.
I need to
Honestly.
put like some like
Really.
sitcom music on this
Yeah.
whole segment.
All right. This is crazy.
Which one?
Get that edited in.
Hey, are we ending the podcast?
Yeah, that's right. I'm waiting to hear.
Is the podcast over?
Hey, listen, we 30 minutes in. We don't know where this is going. Enjoy it. God
Shannon.
bless you guys. We'll see you soon.
Yeah.
Don't tell me you didn't enjoy what you saw, because I know you did. What you need to do now, hit that subscribe button, hit the like, hit that notification button. Check us out every week, every Tuesday, something new for you right here on the Porter Way Podcast.